of us as fans get involved. It's a lot better than probably what it was, but I want more participation fan wise. Because I run to a lot of people, a lot of us who are like the stuff, into the stuff, but they're not involved. Meaning that they may watch a show here and there, download a comic, but don't go to a show. And I think participating, going to shows, shows people that we're there and we're interested. As far as working there, we're there, but very small number. I just read an article about Marvel, how many African American writers they have on staff, and it's like 2%, if that.
Wow.
And even just as an audience, we make up probably 3% of the market, and that's an issue. Therefore, I say I think we should get more involved in the industry as a whole. The indie part and indie and mainstream to begin with, like going to shows. Pretty much, in essence, spend money, like buy books. If you like Spider-Man, buy Spider-Man. If you like Green Lantern or Hawkman or Vixen or whatever, spend money, buy those books. As far as characters are concerned, I'm pretty. I'm gonna say happy. I'm like Ashley. I'm kind of hyped for the future. When DC announced when DC came out with New 52, we had Batwing, Static Shock, and Mr. Terrific. I've never seen three African American characters starring in their own books. Unfortunately, Static was canceled due to conflict with the artists and the writing creative team. Batwing stayed on, unfortunately, Mr. Terrific stayed on. But also, when I talk to fans about them wanting certain things, certain representation, if you see books that's out there that you think that's good, buy them and pay for them, because they have done books that's out there, but you gotta support them. Another book was a few years ago was Firestorm. When the Firestorm was introduced as an African American teenager, this was about at least I'd say 8 years ago. It was a pretty good book, but I think a lot of people kind of slept on it and didn't get on it right away, and it got canned. Batwing is still running. I like Batwing. I've read it. The first few issues, the art is great, the story's pretty cool. I really dug it. But I think I'm more hopeful for the future because they're trying more and more things. And also Marvel and DC aren't the only game in town. There are other companies like Lion Forge making stuff, and a few independent stuff coming out of Dark Horse. When we went to Comic-Con, we had the number 13 video. When we tried to make it, they wanted to make it viral. I sent it out to a few people and showed it to a few friends online. People really dug that. So it's stuff out there. I think it's now, in my opinion, now more than ever. You just got to find it, and I'm pretty hyped and hopeful for the future.
Good. I really feel like I need to bone up on my comic book knowledge now, because you all are both so knowledgeable about it. I guess that's the best way to describe it. But I agree. I've definitely read a couple articles about how they're changing some things, how they're going to have more female characters, more biracial characters, more other racial characters besides white. They're going to have like gay and lesbian characters, like all kinds of different things.
That stuff is out there.
It's out there. Yeah. And it's definitely interesting to see how it's changed over time. So my fourth question we're going to start with Corey. Why do you feel comic fans want their books to stay so traditional? Do you agree with this or not?
What do you mean traditional?
Traditional in terms of like how there was a big deal about the black guy who was in Chronicle being the Human Torch in the revamp of the Fantastic Four, or like how people had a problem with Samuel L. Jackson being Nick Fury, even though there is a black Nick Fury. I
can address that.
Okay.
Now, this one, this is just me personally. This is not reflective on anyone else. This is how I feel about it. The Michael B. Jordan casting for, the rumored casting, if I'm not mistaken, for Michael B. Jordan being the Human Torch, correct?
Right.
For that franchise, for that staple character, I wasn't crazy about it. I wasn't like, I'm gonna throw a rock at Marvel's window, because I kind of feel like that's a major character and it may cause some confusion. unless they were going for a totally redone story, redone origin, they're redoing everything. Fine, no problem. That didn't nag me. But if you're going for the original base source material, I was kind of like, I don't know, guys, but we'll see. As far as Nick Fury, in the Ultimates, when Mark Millar wrote that book in the early 2000s, he pretty much made Samuel Jackson Nick Fury day one.
Mm-hmm.
So and of course, and it was to me a very good choice, and it carried over into the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and it just works.
Right.
I think dude, it's Samuel Jackson, and he adds so much coolness to any film, good or bad, no matter what he's in. Samuel Jackson will make a presence for that film. So I can't see anyone else being Nick Fury. I just can't see going back to the original 1960s regular old Nick Fury being David Hasselhoff. Just no.
Right.
I think putting it in modern day, making him Samuel Jackson just works. And they've done other things where they've changed characters around, changed their origins and changed their races. It happens. I'd rather be done in good context and not done just because. Mm-hmm. But even that's debatable because I've got into discussions with people about them changing certain characters for certain films and other comic books, like with the whole Spider-Man debacle. I think fans were just, I think partially some fans were angry that Peter was killed and got replaced by someone else. And some fans felt it was a marketing ploy. Other fans were just mad. But in comics, that just happens. For those who don't know, when Hal Jordan back in the early 90s, if I'm not mistaken, when he was turned to evil and turned to Sinestro, they replaced him with Kyle Rayner. And fans were so pissed off about it, they formed a group called Heat to petition DC to bring Kyle back. And that thing went on for like a decade. So those things do happen.
Right. What do you think, Ashley? Do you feel that, why do you think that so many comic book fans are, do you feel that so many comic book fans want their comic books to stay traditional? And if so, why do you think so?
I want to say it's split down the middle. If people like me who are like old school, the older fans, you want the traditional book. There's a certain like intimacy when you hold the actual comic versus seeing it digitally. A lot of kids nowadays are prone to digital things, no matter what it may be. So it's split down the middle. It's more like an age bracket thing, you know? Mm-hmm. If that makes sense.
It does. Okay, so Ashley, since you're still on, I'm going to go into my last question before we open it for our lovely audience. This is going to be a two-part question. What is one of the toughest struggles that you've had in the industry as a Black female artist even? And the second part of the question is, what is something that you're working on currently?
I haven't had any difficulties. If anything, I feel personally, if I had to be honest, I feel like I need to try harder at what I want. You know, for the past few years, I sort of kind of knew what I wanted, but at the same time, I wasn't too sure. So I was just biding my time and doing my own thing. And so even though I'm not industry per se, the people that I've mingled with and have friendships with or just associates, I don't have any problems, you know, socializing or anything. And I don't expect to have any problems. That might be very naive of me to say that, but if anything, I feel like my sex and my color help me in some ways. It makes me more marketable, especially with what's going on in comics and TV and movies. You know, you see more characters of color. Like in the second Thor movie, they had like black high elves up there with the white high elves, and they was boogieing. Sure. Yeah, they was
taking out a ship by himself. The man took out a ship by himself. You can't tell me nothing. Nothing.
Yeah, so I mean, I feel like on all fronts, you know, in front and behind the camera, however you want to, whatever metaphor you want to use, in the media and the people behind the media. It's just expanding, you know. They're moving on to like other things. I'm trying to wrap it up nicely.
Oh no, that's fine. No, I mean, whatever you have to say, definitely express it. And the second part of the question was, what is something that you're working on currently?
Well, right now I'm bringing back Millennial War, the 8th book, which is issue number 7.
Yay!
So the 8th book comes out later this year. It's already fully drawn and inked. I'm just coloring it. And that and a new series I'm working on called Karaoke Blue. This one's more like a manga, Karaoke Blue. And it's a slice of life story featuring the friendship of 2 girls. And it follows their lives between senior year in high school to the peak of their careers. And so it's just a slice of life story that I hope readers can relate to and have fun reading. And has very beautiful art. And do you have any concepts ready to like show, or that's like later on?
Oh, sure. We're going to pull up a couple of pieces of your artwork, and you can continue to talk while we're doing that. All right, there we go. There's $1 Million Baby.
Oh, no. Take that down. No, $1 Million Baby is a album cover that I did for my friend Kay Valentine.
Okay.
She's a hip-hop artist. But the concepts to pull up are, it should say like clothes, concept, blog, and like the name of a character. Like Saki, Nao, Mai, and Emmy. It should be like 4 pages.
Okay, give us 1 second.
Yeah, no problem.
Or you can continue talking while we're pulling it up.
But yeah, so the story takes place in Osaka, Japan. It's modern day, and it dabbles in the Bozuzoku culture, which is the motorcycle gang culture over in Japan, and it was at its heights in the 80s, and they do a lot of rockabilly styles, and they deck out their bikes and customize them to like ignorant, just crazy proportions, you know, like really just crazy big dumb mufflers, something that you'll see like in the Capcom game for no reason, just big as hell, you know. And and they make it like they paint it, you know, cool colors for their gangs, and the whole culture is really interesting. And my friend Leisha introduced me to the culture, so I did some research for the past 2-3 years and decided to make a story around that, as well as the Yakuza.
Okay.
And for those who aren't familiar with the Yakuza, they're basically the Japanese version of the mafia here. So it's going to be really exciting. From the concepts right now, it looks very like, oh, it's a little high school story in an anime, you know, but it's not what it seems to be right now, put it like that. I'm very excited about it. Yeah.
Yay.
Yeah. That sounded so dead.
No, I'm sorry. I'm listening to you and Kevin and Corey and reading the thread. But
Corey, say yay.
Yay.
See, no, Corey sounds dead. Yay.
Yay.
No, seriously, Ashley's art is awesome.
Oh yeah.
She can definitely draw some amazing things. Ashley has been to Japan for her art. She's definitely done some awesome stuff, and I wish you some really super cool stuff in the future. And stay there, Ashley, because we're going to have the audience ask some questions, but I'm going to then move to Corey for the closeout. So, Corey, what has been your hardest struggle as a Black male in the comic book community, or in the comic book industry, rather, not just the community? And what is something that you're currently working on, a project you're currently working on?
Before I say anything, I better get this out of my system before I kick myself. I did not mention this, not to mention this before. Shout outs to Milestone, because Milestone Comic Books was a minority ran line on DC, and I was big fans of Icon and Static and those books. and a big inspiration from those titles and those creators to help me where I want to be today. As far as being African American working in the industry and I guess breaking in, I believe in the beginning it was kind of tough, but I'm like Ashley now. I think